morning. So I appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to call the roll this morning. Councilman Gallagher.
Here.
And Mr. Chambers. Mike, you're muted.
I'm here.
And Mr. Carroll.
Here.
And just to let everyone know, so we have all three of our members present. And to let you know that since we're conducting this meeting by Zoom, we did post the link on the Board of Revision's website. And so anyone from the public is welcome to join us. We may have some others joining us throughout the meeting. But to let you know as well that we are recording this meeting and we will post this meeting on our website after we conclude. Mr. Rodriguez, was there any public comment?
No, no one has joined for public comment.
And item number 3 on the agenda, minutes approval from our October 28th, 2020 meeting. Apologize for having sent such short notice. I just forwarded the minutes from that meeting a few minutes before this meeting started. So if you'd like to take a couple of minutes to look at the minutes from October 28th.
Move to accept.
I move to approve Councilman Gallagher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carroll. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections? The minutes from the October 28th meeting are approved. Moving on to new business, this is our 2021 organization meeting. First item under new business, electing the Board of Revision's chairman for calendar year 2021. Do any of the members have a nominee for chairman?
I'll nominate Matt.
Second.
We could get a central towards the health or EMA, overseeing.
Nomination by Mr. Chambers, second by Councilman Gallagher to nominate Matt Carroll as the chairman for 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so Mr. Carroll, you're the chairman for the Board of Revision for calendar year 2021. Next item is the council president's appointment to the Board of Revision. Councilman Gallagher, will you be the representative for calendar year 2021?
My understanding is that I will be, and those will be released tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much. And in looking at last year's minutes from January 13, 2020, there was some discussion about an alternate. Will council be nominating an alternate member?
If I'm correct, it would be the council president as an alternate.
Okay. So I appreciate that information when that's completed. If they could send that to me. Also, Councilman, since we have a new council president and vice president, I'll be reaching out to them just to let them know if they need anything from me. To please always feel welcome to. And if there's any issues, obviously you're the one that's been working with the board for at least the last couple of years. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Next item, I sent a few weeks ago a couple of different authorizations to each of you. There's a few other situations where there's a standing authority for the administrator to take actions and to notify the members before I take them. Really, my purpose in this is to minimize any special meetings that may need to be called. Obviously, I want your input and approval for these types of decisions, but I think it'd make things a little bit operationally easier. So the first one is for authorization to establish and amend minimum qualifications for all Board of Revision positions. You had approved at the October 28th meeting the changes to the minimum qualifications for hearing officers. We do have other positions at the Board of Revision our administrative support staff, and then the management titles. So this would be a standing authority, to either establish or amend minimum qualifications. I would provide the changes to you and give you at least 5 days notice before making any changes, so that you have the opportunity to review those. And then if you have any concerns about them, then we can set it for a special meeting to discuss. But the first of these, like I said, is to authorize and establish minimum qualifications. Mr. Carroll had already sent me an email saying that he approved that. I would ask for a motion to approve that memo.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so moved by Mr. Carroll, seconded Councilman Gallagher. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? And so that authorization is approved. Second, similar to this, to requesting authorization to establish and amend rules of procedure. The Board of Revision currently has a couple of different sets of rules of procedure, one related to our valuation complaints, another related to our foreclosure hearings that we have. There's a couple of other types of hearings that we have. We have hearings on remission of penalty, on homestead exemptions, on manufactured homes, and on the requirement that residential rental property has to be registered with the county auditor. So there's a couple of those that we do not have rules of procedure. And then there's some others that in reviewing these, I think we need to make some amendments to. So I'm requesting authorization to be able to establish and amend rules of procedure. Again, before they become effective, I would send them to you, give you time to review them. And if you have any questions or concerns about them, we could then set a special meeting to discuss. So requesting a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Carroll. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Gallagher. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? The authorization carries. I'll circulate those memos to each of you to get your signatures on them. Councilman, how do you want me to get the memos out to you?
If you could contact Trevor and they'll get a runner out here, or I'll come down.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anyone have any other new business before we move to old business? All right, moving on to old business then. I emailed to you a status report on our valuation complaints. And I only did those because that's the bulk of the complaints that we hear. So rather than running through the status report, if you have any questions on it, please feel free to email me. Probably the most significant part of this is that we're projecting that we will complete hearing the valuation complaints for residential complaints for tax year 2019. Our projection now is that we'll have nearly all of those completed by the end of March. For the commercial valuation complaints, we've tended to hold those as a group off longer than the residential. And we anticipate that we'll complete most of those commercial valuation complaints by the end of August. We have started to receive the complaints for tax year 2020. They're coming in about, I would say, at about the pace that we expected for early January. Our filing deadline is March 31st. And as we typically do, we start to see an increase in the number of filings the closer we get to the deadline. I do anticipate that we're going to get more complaints than we normally would in the third year of our cycle. Couple of reasons for that. Number one, the pandemic. But number two, there were tax increases. We had a county-wide tax increase with the county library levy, but there were also a number of school districts that passed levies. Historically, when people see an increase in their tax bill, that is a corresponding increase in the number of complaints for property values that get filed. So when we pass the March 31st deadline, I'll send to all of you a status on the number of complaints that we received. Does anyone have any questions about the status report now? Moving on to the next item under other business, the status report of operational matters. I think that I've given reports to you in the past that we've largely moved to remote hearings. We will continue to do that for the foreseeable future. We moved to remote hearings at the beginning of May. We had a period of time from the end of March through the first week in May last year that we were not hearing any complaints due to the pandemic. It did put us a little bit behind in our schedule. I think we've been able to catch up a lot because with doing the hearings remotely, even though we schedule longer blocks of time, we don't have the blackout dates that we used to for things like tribe games, or when there's championship games for the Cavs. So we've been able to make up a lot of the lost time that we had from being closed down for 7 weeks. We are shifting from phone hearings, which we've been doing since the beginning of May. We're shifting over to Zoom hearings, and we've started with a small group of hearings already. We will completely shift over to Zoom hearings effective next Tuesday. And for the foreseeable future, we intend to keep having hearings remotely to protect both our staff and the public during the pandemic. Once we've eventually gotten over the major health concerns about the pandemic, at that point in time, then we'll have to consider, what works best for us operationally. I can anticipate that we'll probably go back to some hearings in person, but also doing hearings remotely. So it'll be a combination, but it won't be until we know for sure that we're past the major concerns, how we'll be handling things mostly. And I'll give you a status report on what we plan to do once we get to that point in time. Does anyone have any questions or comments about any of our operational matters? Moving on to the next item on the agenda, the legislative update. I'm actually going to send you an update, and this is legislation at the state level. There's been a couple of pieces of legislation that are going to impact us. Rather than take up some time now, I'll just send an email to all of you. But one of them relates to the timing that we have to hear a complaint once it's been filed with us, and that bill did pass the last General Assembly, and Governor DeWine, I believe, signed it over the weekend. The other one impacts how we are to consider any economic impact due to the pandemic. That has not passed. It didn't pass in the last General Assembly, but my understanding is that it will be reintroduced and probably fast-tracked in the new General Assembly. The last item that we have is, unless we have a special meeting, our next meeting will likely be the last week in October, and that will be to approve the tax abstract. So I don't know, October is a long way away, but I just wanted to make sure to at least let you know that we will have a meeting the week of October 25th, and I'll be reaching out to you probably in early September, checking with you on your availability for that week. So anyone have any other business besides what we have gone over on the agenda?
No, thank you.
Right, hearing no other business. I'm sorry, Mr. Carroll.
None, thank you.
All right. There's no other business. I'm going to adjourn the meeting then. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.